Hi everybody, I'm Jamie. Thank you for tuning into my channel. I love talking fantasy football and sports in general. I always like to recap last week's games at a glance and the biggest stories going on. Talk through some pickups if you've got some injuries or maybe some underperformers on your bench. Talk through some pick'ems for the upcoming week and who I think is going to win, as well as some DFS plays if you play DraftKings like I do. Anyway, let's dive in. First and foremost, yes, this is my Mark Ingram jersey from the Saints. And I got it in a nick of time for him to leave. I think I got it last year. But I'm pretty sold on the Ravens edition if this past weekend was any indication of how great he's going to be this year. Because he's already been really awesome. And I targeted him in like every single league, but he's been a firm foundation in all of their offense. Lamar Jackson's been better than I thought. And then Malcolm Brown's been more consistent than I thought too. So I got to give him credit. But really solid week for Mark Ingram. 3 touchdowns is quite the feat. Another thing, I'm coining Sunday as Don't Doubt Daniel Jones Day. Got it. The alliteration is off the charts. Yes, indeed. But I was really impressed with how well he did. I didn't really know what to expect coming in. Unfortunately, Saquon Barkley went out, but Daniel Jones had a really solid premier performance and pulled it out for them. So good news for the Giants. They also have Golden Tate coming back in a little bit over a week, so I think that's going to be interesting. Hopefully Saquon Barkley's not out for too long, although they said I think like up to 8 weeks on the higher end. But Wayne Gallman's been there before, so I'm sure we'll get to that. But I mean, I'm sure he's on the top of everybody's waiver wire pickups, especially if you have Saquon Barkley. A couple other things that I want to talk through: the NFC North and the NFC West. Interesting to me. So the NFC North, the Lions are undefeated. They are 2-0-1. They have a tie. Are they legit? I don't know if they're legit, but that division, the NFC North, has a winning team top to bottom. Nobody has a losing record. So it's a competitive division. Sooner or later, they're going to beat everybody up, or they're going to beat each other up because they're going to play each other and somebody's got to win. But surprising that the Lions have been this good so far. I didn't expect that. Another thing in the NFC West, a lot of really solid performing teams. The Niners are undefeated too. I think that will change. I do think they have some gaps to some degree. I don't know that they're as lethal as the Rams are. The Bills are undefeated too. Crazy. That will change this week, I think, when they play the Patriots. I was also surprised this week. I know the quarterback talk is top of mind. Teddy Bridgewater had a pretty solid performance. He did play last week too, so I think that helps having those reps in. But he got Alvin Kamara a little bit more involved in Michael Thomas, so I think that's a good sign for them going forward. I mean, the Seahawks are not an easy team to play, so I thought that was a big win for them. It'll be a true test this week when they play the Cowboys. That if they can win this game this week, I really think that the Saints might be okay. And I still think they have a chance too, but it really depends on how the Falcons play going forward. They had a tough loss this week too. Another thing, I feel like every week people talk about this. Really every day I get like notifications on the hourly on Antonio Brown. I just found out, he's enrolled back at Central Michigan, so good for him. That's until he finds out that everything's been dropped and he's able to sign with another team. If that's the case, I don't know how that's going to shake out. But nonetheless, it's not a great week to be an Antonio Brown owner. I think you hold on to him just in case he does get signed, if you can, of course. But if you're a Josh Gordon owner, you're happy about this because Josh Gordon saw a solid uptick in attention this past week and had a really, I think, solid performance. But keep in mind, Julian Edelman did go out at some point. So I think that might have had a little bit to do with it, but Josh Gordon's going to be more involved. It was only a matter of time as he got integrated into the offense with Antonio Brown gone. So good news for Josh Gordon owners, not so much for Antonio Brown owners. On top of that, Mike Evans had a killer performance. It was only a matter of time because he was due. I'm a stats person. When you go 0 for 10 and you're a lifetime 270 hitter, 280 hitter, I mean, you're bound to have a good game. He deserved it. He killed it. Cooper Kupp also had a really, really great game. Tough part about Rams receivers is that there's a lot of love, but you just don't know where it's going on any given day. And I think Cooper Kupp is going to continue to receive a solid amount of that. I thought he was the best buy this year, just because he was going in later rounds, and he was on pace last year to be the best out of all of them, really. And then when he got hurt, Robert Woods ended up being the better of the two. Three, really, if you count Cooper Kupp. But anyway, just that's a quick recap rundown of some of my takeaways from this past week. Some pickups. I know some people might still be looking at quarterbacks, potentially, depending on who you have. Daniel Jones is a top contender for most people's lists. So he's not a bad one. Jacoby Brissett's not a bad one either. I picked up Andy Dalton last week, and I was sweating it at halftime because I was like, oh, Andy Dalton, you can count on him for like 17 points or at least 15 every week. He's pretty consistent. But at halftime, he had like a point, and I was like, oh my gosh. Of course, all weeks would be the one that I start him. He would get like, a point at halftime. But he came through in true Andy Dalton fashion, and I think I ended up with like 18 points or whatever. So those are the three people that I would target. I had Case Keenum on my list last week, and I don't think he's a bad one either. I think last week was kind of an anomaly. I mean, I don't know the last time Case Keenum had like 3 or 4 interceptions ever. But I think the Washington Redskins are going to be down a lot, and I think they're going to be throwing a lot. And so I think that means that Case Keenum will be getting at least 2 touchdowns a game for the most part. Wide receiver pickups. If Terry McLaurin is still available in your league, which I really doubt he is, but if not, pick him up. Great pickup. Cole Beasley's not a bad one if you really need somebody on the cusp. Not somebody I'd be starting on a weekly basis. Same thing with Paul Richardson. He had 9 targets, 83 yards, and a touchdown this past week. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that I know that he's going to be a consistent performer, but there's definitely some upside for a bye week maybe. If you need somebody, John Brown, another one. He only had 5 targets. He caught 4 for 51 yards. But he's also had some other good weeks too. Some other cusp ones. I mean, I try not to get too eager about some outlier performances like from Taylor Gabriel. I don't know that Taylor Gabriel is going to have 7 targets every week. I think he had like 5 most weeks or 4 most weeks, and that's not somebody that I tend to like to start or feel comfortable starting. But he had 7 targets, 3 touchdowns for 75 yards. So I mean, that's a pretty solid touchdown performance out of a player. So if you need somebody, he could be a good one on the cusp. If you need anybody, Mohamed Sanu had 6 targets, and Dede Westbrook, he had 9, but not much production out of those 9. So those are some of the top contenders. Wayne Gallman, top of the running back pickup list, especially if you got Saquon Barkley. Hopefully you're near the top of the waiver wire there. Frank Gore, if he's still available. And Carlos Hyde, he's been mediocre in performance, but I mean, he's also still getting integrated into the offense. So, I mean, he's not a bad one if you need some depth. But keep an eye on him. If he continues to not perform, I say, kick him to the curb. But I didn't really see many people I liked on the waiver wire from a running back perspective. Tight ends, Vernon Davis, I think he's touchdown dependent though. Jimmy Graham, if he's available, he didn't play last week, so if somebody dropped him, he's not a bad one. O.J. Howard is a decent one if you really need a tight end. They say that they're planning to go to him. We'll see how that translates throughout the week. Defensively, some of the teams, if you stream like I do defense-wise, Baltimore, Seattle, and Atlanta are a few teams that I'm considering picking up and that were available in my league. My leagues. Multiple leagues. Pick'ems for the week. I went with the grain a lot this week, which I normally don't. I normally try to pick more upsets than normal, but Packers, Eagles, I picked the Packers. I think that one's actually going to be an interesting game. I haven't liked what I've seen with the Eagles so far, and I think the Packers are going to go 4-0. Falcons, Titans, I'm going Falcons. Pats, Bills, I'm going Pats. Although, yeah, I'm going Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to turn the Bills into change. But, yeah, I think the Bills are going to lose their first game, and I think the Pats are going to go 4-0. Chiefs, Lions, going Chiefs. Lions have been dangerous this year. And the thing about the Lions is they can put some points on the board because Matt Stafford can throw it. And if he has a good game, then they could be dangerous. But I think the Chiefs are going to win. Colts, Raiders, I'm going with the Colts. Chargers, Dolphins, I'm going Chargers, although I haven't liked what I've seen with the Chargers thus far. Redskins, Giants. The stat line from what I saw, it looked like the Redskins were the favorite, which surprised me. I am going with the Redskins with Saquon Barkley out. Browns, Ravens, I'm going Browns. Although, the Ravens are, I would think, probably the favorite there, but I'm going Browns. Texans, Panthers, I'm going Texans. Rams, Bucks, I'm going Rams. I think the Bucks have the potential to put some points on the board, so I'm interested to watch that game. I think that'll be a good one. Seahawks, Cardinals, Seahawks for sure. I think they'll bounce back this week after a tough loss to the Saints. Vikings, Bears, I went Vikings. The Vikings were not the favorite, actually. The Bears were, which surprised me. It was very close, but I just think the Vikings offense is far superior to the Bears. The Bears defense is fantastic, so I think it'll be a good game. But if the Vikings offense is better than the Bears defense, I think the Vikings are going to win. Broncos, Jags. The Broncos were actually the favorite, so I think I might finally get my Broncos win this week and be right there. Saints, Cowboys. The Cowboys are the favorite, and the Cowboys have been rocking and rolling. But I'm going Saints, because why not? I'm wearing a Saints jersey, so it felt right. Steelers, Bengals. I'm going Steelers. Why not? DFS plays. I'm going Matt Stafford, and I'm pairing him up probably with Kenny Golladay or maybe Marvin Jones Sr. Kenny Golladay had 8 targets. Marvin Jones had he had a better game, better performance, but I like that play. They're both pretty inexpensive, wide receiver-wise. I'm also going Daniel Jones and Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard had 7 out of 9 for 100 yards and a touchdown, and it seemed like they were clicking. I also like Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett. I think Tyler Lockett has been a really impressive turnout this year. I had my doubts, and I didn't really target him that much in leagues. I just didn't know how he and Russell Wilson would mesh and how much volume he would get. Because Russell Wilson, he likes to spread the ball out, I think, but he's really been pretty reliant on Tyler Lockett. So you should be pretty happy if you're a Tyler Lockett fan and owner, because he's producing well for what you paid for him. Another one that I like for a wide receiver and quarterback matchup is Jacoby Brissett and T.Y. Hilton. Keep an eye on T.Y. Hilton. I know he went out, I think, with like a quad injury. So just make sure he's healthy, of course, if you have him in fantasy or in DFS. Some other wide receivers that I like. Josh Gordon's pretty cheap. And I always love going Julian Edelman just because he gets good volume. It really depends on what your lineup looks like. I mean, Julian Edelman's not always that guy that's going to go off, though. And you got to you really got to have the perfect lineup in DFS. I always love looking on a weekly basis at what the perfect lineup is, because people, they make a killing too when they hit it. But I mean, when you're right, you're right. So a lot of times they pick very obscure players too that you wouldn't think. But I like Josh Gordon this week. I like Terry McLaurin. I like Adam Thielen too. I mean, he's always a pretty good buy, and T.Y. Hilton, as I said. Running back wise, Mark Ingram, really can't go wrong with him. Devontae Freeman, here's the thing. So he's a risk. And that's the thing is, like, I feel like a lot of times when people win, they do have some risky plays. So you got to be on those players. And, you know, Devontae Freeman is very cheap, but he's had some mediocre days. And like I said, I'm a numbers person, so I like to think, okay, well, if I can get somebody that I know has potential and upside, I like to go with them. But Wayne Gallman, another one, he's cheap. Austin Eckler, you know that he's going to be solid. He is $8,000 in DFS, so you're going to pay for him and probably have to be a little bit more thrifty in other areas. Dalvin Cook, another one. He's just been like lights out, consistent across the board. He's 8,300. And then at the tight end position, I like Delaney Walker. Greg Olsen has been a stud. I do have him in one of my leagues this year. And then Austin Hooper, I picked him last week, and he had a really solid week. Defensively, I'm also eyeing the Broncos and the Seahawks. So those are my DFS plays for the week. I wish you all the best of luck in your DraftKings, your fantasy football leagues. I hope all is going well. Feel free to comment below. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, fantasy_more. If you have any questions, or if you've got any like accolades or really great weeks that you want to post, feel free to tweet at me. Good luck in your leagues, and I will see you all next week.